does the economy respond to this from then on out, okay, to this new world of higher tariffs? If they stay and everything remains as it is, our final diagram before looked like this. So we were sitting off in a recession scenario. Remember, we had started here and this has increased, and we had decreased and then decreased again, and we ended at this point. Now, the question is, how do we adjust from here? I believe the answer is twofold. Eventually, the economy adjusts to some extent. So I think this probably comes back to some extent. That is, firms find alternative routes to get supplies. They find different alternative suppliers. They may find other ones around the world who have different tariff structures. Who knows? But they make some adjustments eventually. Okay? But we definitely have a recession in this diagram for a while. So that's a good thing. Unfortunately, I think you also very likely have a decrease in your potential GDP or your full employment level of output. That's a more serious claim, and the reason I think it happens is through a slowdown in investment and capital formation. So if you think about it, just before I draw a few more things, if you think about it just logically, this has left all companies finding more expensive alternatives than they had before. You've made their inputs more expensive. They found ways around it, which helped, but all of those solutions must be more expensive than they would have been able to do before the tariffs. Otherwise, they would have used those solutions before. So this is a worse scenario and a worse allocation of fundamental resources in your economy, lowering longer and aggregate supply. The other reason has to do with a very basic identity. Net exports, in addition to being exports minus imports, are the balance of your savings and investment in your economy. So if you have a trade balance, you have a perfect trade balance, this means the savings in your economy is just equal to the investment in your economy. As individuals in your economy and firms want to invest in capital and equipment, they get the money from people who save for long-term retirement and so on and so forth. If the rest of the world finds your economy so fantastic that they want to invest in it, they find that they want to open up manufacturing facilities in your economy and build, they want to invest in your infrastructure, they want to invest in new projects. As they invest in your economy, that actually drives a trade deficit. So you can generate a trade deficit just by being such a fantastic economy that everybody wants to move their imports here, their investment here. That'll also depend on the interest rate being offered. It'll depend on a lot of things. What it also means is the following. If you enacted tariffs that decreased imports and forced net exports upward, there's only one of two things that can happen here. Either savings miraculously increases or investment miraculously decreases. Which one seems more likely? Do you think overnight, because of the import tariffs, all American consumers save more money? So one option is an increase in savings with investment unchanged. Okay, or maybe a little changed. This would increase net exports. But notice, higher savings, you get your income and you consume and you save. So if you save more, you consume less. This would decrease consumption today, which would lower aggregate demand, which would push us out further into a recession. The alternative is that we get a decrease in investment as foreigners invest less in our economy. with basically no change in savings. This would also increase net exports, but less investment would mean less capital. Sorry, I spelled capital with a K because we usually use K in economics. Less capital formation over time. And that technology, labor, and capital is why you likely get a decrease in capital formation, which is a fundamental variable in your ability to produce in an economy, and lower long-run aggregate supply. So however this adjustment takes place, either it lowers consumption to make space for savings, which lowers aggregate demand and drives a further recession, or it lowers investment, which boosts net exports, but slows down your capital formation process, and voila, your actual long-run potential GDP slows down as well. This is the much more devastating effect and long-term consequences. This is a shorter-term effect. Both of them are negative. Our fundamental prediction then is definite increase in the price level and a very likely decrease in real GDP, potentially with devastating and seriously negative long-term effects through a decrease in your capital formation process.